G'day everyone and welcome back to the Deep Dive. This time we're heading down under to explore the world of Aussie innovation.
Sounds exciting.
It is. We've got stacks of business textbooks, articles, and real-world examples to unpack, all focused on how Aussies turn great ideas into booming businesses.
I'm keen to see what we uncover. I've always been fascinated by how Vegemite became such a national icon.
Oh, we'll definitely delve into that. From brewer's yeast to breakfast staple, the Vegemite story is a wild ride.
And what about those fingerprint scanners we use every day? Did you know that tech revolution started in Australia too?
It's true. We'll trace the journey of that innovation and so many others. Plus, we'll even uncover a surprising link between Aussie tech and, wait for it, Elon Musk.
Now that's something I didn't expect. Okay, I'm officially hooked. Let's get this deep dive started.
All right, so before we jump into specific examples, let's define what we mean by business opportunities. It's a phrase we hear all the time, but our sources suggest it's more than just stumbling upon a brilliant idea.
Right. It's about understanding the bigger picture.
Exactly. It's about recognizing that sweet spot where market trends, customer needs, and technological advancements all come together. And then it's about having the guts to seize that moment and make something amazing happen.
It's like catching a wave, You need to read the ocean, anticipate the swell, and then paddle like mad to catch that perfect ride.
Yeah.
In business, those waves are the circumstances that create fertile ground for success.
Love that analogy. So let's talk about Australia's surf conditions for business. We know Aussies are known for being pretty inventive, but how do they stack up on a global scale when it comes to innovation?
Well, the numbers paint a pretty impressive picture. According to the 2021 Global Innovation Index, Australia ranked 25th out of 132 countries. It's pretty remarkable when you consider factors like population size and research funding compared to, say, the US or Japan.
That's right. They might not have the same resources as those big players, but Aussies are definitely punching above their weight.
Exactly. It seems like there's something special about the Australian ecosystem that fosters this innovative spirit. Some researchers point to a culture that encourages risk-taking and a can-do attitude, while others highlight the strong partnerships between universities and businesses.
A nation of risk-taking surfers turned entrepreneurs. Speaking of iconic Aussie inventions, two that always come to mind are the lawnmower and IVF. It's mind-blowing that the same nation that pioneered backyard bliss also gave us groundbreaking medical technology.
It's a great illustration of how diverse Aussie innovation is. But it also makes you wonder, what is it about their approach that leads to these breakthroughs? Is it a focus on practical solutions, a willingness to experiment, or maybe a unique combination of both?
That's a fantastic question, and it leads us right into the heart of our deep dive, understanding how innovation translates into tangible business opportunities.
You got it. Our sources make a clear distinction between invention, which is creating something entirely new, and innovation, which includes both inventions and the significant improvement of existing things.
So you're saying that building on existing technology can be just as groundbreaking as inventing something from scratch?
Absolutely. Take DVD players and personal computers, for example. They didn't just appear out of thin air, did they?
No, they evolved from earlier technologies, with each new iteration building on the last.
Exactly. Then you have inventions like Wi-Fi, which stemmed from CSIRO radio astronomy research and completely transformed the way we live and work. It created entirely new markets and possibilities that didn't exist before.
That's right. And speaking of innovative leaps forward, we can't forget about Vegemite. It's a national treasure now, but you might be surprised to learn that it was born out of a bit of a business problem.
Do tell. I'm all ears.
Okay, so picture this. It's the 1920s, and Fred Walker, a big-time food manufacturer, is stuck with a mountain of leftover brewer's yeast. Now, most folks would see that as waste, but not Fred.
What did he do?
He challenged a young chemist to turn that yeast into something people would actually want to buy, and the result? A thick, dark spread that, let's be honest, didn't exactly win over taste buds at first.
So, not an instant success then.
Not quite. But it's a classic example of recognizing a market need, in this case, a demand for vitamin-rich food in the post-war era. And it also highlights that even the most innovative products need clever marketing and a bit of luck to become a hit.
Makes sense. You got to have the right product at the right time and then shout about it from the rooftops.
For sure. And speaking of timing, recognizing those gaps in the market seems crucial. Our sources talk about how markets are always changing, always presenting opportunities for those who can see the shifts coming and adapt quickly.
They describe it as a dynamic puzzle, constantly rearranging itself. It could be a shift in consumer preferences, the emergence of new technologies, or even something like geopolitical events. All these changes create openings for savvy entrepreneurs.
So it's not just about having a brilliant idea, it's about reading the market like a seasoned surfer reads the waves.
Exactly. That ability to ride the wave of change is what separates those who just survive in the business world from those who truly thrive.
Okay, so we've established that Aussies are pretty darn good at spotting those market gaps and riding the waves of change. But let's get down to brass tacks. Can you give us some specific examples of how Aussie ingenuity has transformed into successful businesses?
Well, one that springs to mind is the story of John Parcell and his company, Fingerscan.
Fingerscan.
Yep, back in the 90s, he was a pioneer in a revolutionary approach to security, fingerprint identification. It was a radical idea at the time, using biometrics to verify someone's identity with just a touch.
Hold on, using fingerprints for security, that sounds so normal now. Was that really an Aussie innovation?
Absolutely. Parcell had this vision to create a security system that was more secure and way more convenient than the traditional methods like keys and passwords. And the really fascinating thing is he didn't just improve on an existing technology, he basically carved out a whole new market.
Wow. So we can thank an Aussie for our fingerprint-secured phones and laptops.
You got it. Today, we take that technology for granted, but back then, it was a complete game changer. It shifted the entire security landscape.
It's amazing how such a simple idea using our unique fingerprints has become so commonplace. But I'm curious, what kind of challenges did Fingerscan face in those early days? Was it hard to get people on board with this new technology?
It definitely wasn't an overnight success. One of the sources mentioned the initial skepticism from businesses and consumers alike.
I can imagine.
There were worries about privacy, doubts about its accuracy, and just general uncertainty about this futuristic technology. It took a lot of education, a lot of demonstrations, and frankly, just time for the market to really embrace the benefits of fingerprint scanning.
Makes sense. Sometimes it takes a while for people to get their heads around a new concept, especially when it's something as personal as their own fingerprints. But clearly, Fingerscan stuck with it and paved the way for what is now a massive industry.
It really is a testament to the power of, disruptive innovation and challenging conventional thinking. It also highlights the importance of patience and persistence for entrepreneurs. Sometimes those groundbreaking ideas need time to gain traction and really change the market.
It's a good reminder for all of us, not just entrepreneurs, that change rarely happens overnight. Sometimes those innovative solutions need time to simmer and find their place in the world. Now, remember earlier when we touched on Facet, the world's first self-fit hearing aid developed by Aussie researchers.
Ah, yes. A fantastic example of how R&D can lead to real-world impact.
I was reading about that. Facet is really shading things up in terms of accessibility and affordability in hearing healthcare. And the fact that users can calibrate the device themselves, well, it bypasses the need for those expensive and time-consuming trips to audiologists.
Exactly.
I'm curious, though, what kind of impact is Facet having on the global hearing aid market? Is it disrupting the big players?
It's definitely making waves. Initially, those traditional hearing aid manufacturers saw Facet as a potential threat, but now they're scrambling to incorporate self-fitting technology into their own products.
Wow, so they're having to adapt to stay competitive.
Exactly. It just shows you the power of disruptive innovation to force entire industries to evolve.
It's amazing to think that an invention that came out of Aussie universities is now influencing the global landscape of hearing healthcare. It reminds me of another innovator known for pushing boundaries, Elon Musk. Now, I know he's not Australian, but our sources mentioned a fascinating link between his approach and the work being done down under.
Ah, yes, the Elon Musk connection. While he wasn't directly involved in Facet's development, there's a clear parallel in their commitment to R&D and that relentless pursuit of pushing technological boundaries.
So even though they're working in completely different fields, there's a shared ethos driving their work.
Precisely.
Yeah.
They both embodied this belief that technology can be a powerful force for positive change, whether it's revolutionizing transportation with Tesla, exploring space with SpaceX, or making healthcare more accessible, like the team behind Facet.
This idea of challenging the status quo seems to be a recurring theme in Aussie innovation. It's like there's this national spirit of why not, and let's give it a go.
You've hit the nail on the head. And this spirit isn't just limited to the lab or the workshop. It extends to the way Aussie businesses approach the global market.
That's right. We've talked about domestic opportunities, but let's zoom out and look at the bigger picture. Australia, despite its geographical isolation, has a history of punching above its weight on the world stage, especially when it comes to business.
Absolutely. And with the rise of e-commerce and all those digital technologies, geographical boundaries are becoming less and less relevant. This opens up incredible opportunities for Australian businesses to tap into those global markets and connect with customers all around the world.
I imagine there are unique challenges that come with that too, right? Going global isn't as simple as just setting up a website and waiting for the orders to pour in.
You're absolutely right. Our sources highlighted the importance of understanding different cultures, navigating those tricky regulatory hurdles, and making sure your products and marketing strategies are tailored to suit different markets. But the rewards can be huge.
So, what's the key takeaway for those Aussie entrepreneurs who dream of taking their business global? Is there a secret formula for success?
There's no magic bullet, unfortunately. But the sources emphasize the importance of thorough market research, building strong partnerships, and really understanding the needs and expectations of your target market. And of course, a healthy dose of that Aussie resilience and adaptability goes a long way.
Makes sense. Going global is a big step, and it requires careful planning and a willingness to learn and adapt along the way. But the potential rewards, both for individual businesses and the Australian economy as a whole, are truly exciting.
They are. And it's not just about those big corporations either. Small and medium-sized enterprises are also finding success in those international markets thanks to their agility, their innovative products and services, and their focus on niche areas where they can really shine.
This deep dive into Aussie innovation has been incredibly insightful. We've explored the factors that drive business opportunities, from recognizing those market gaps to the importance of R&D and those challenges of going global. But before we wrap up, I want to circle back to something you mentioned earlier, the impact of technology on Australian businesses.
Ah, yes. Technology is a crucial piece of the puzzle. We've already seen how it's driven innovations like fingerprint scanning and self-fit hearing aids. But its impact goes way beyond just specific inventions.
So how are those broader technological trends shaping the Australian business landscape as a whole?
Well, one of the biggest developments is the rise of automation.
Automation, huh?
Yeah, from manufacturing to customer service, businesses are increasingly adopting robots and artificial intelligence to make these more efficient, streamline processes, and cut costs.
I can see how that would be a game changer, especially in areas like manufacturing and logistics. But what about the human element? Are there concerns about automation taking away jobs?
That's a valid concern, and it's something that's being widely debated. Our sources suggest that while some jobs will inevitably become automated, technology is also creating new opportunities in fields like data analytics, software development, and cybersecurity. The key, they argue, is to embrace lifelong learning and keep those skills up to date to adapt to the evolving job market.
It's a good point. We're living in an era of rapid technological change, and being adaptable is crucial for individuals and businesses to thrive. But let's shift gears for a moment and talk about another exciting part of the Australian business landscape, the growth of the startup ecosystem.
Oh, absolutely. Australia's startup scene is booming right now, with hubs like Sydney and Melbourne attracting both local and international talent.
I'm curious, what are some of the factors driving the startup boom? Is it government support, access to funding, or something else entirely?
It's actually a combination of factors. Our sources pointed to a supportive regulatory environment, a growing venture capital scene, and a culture that really encourages entrepreneurship and risk-taking. Plus, you can't forget the lifestyle appeal of Australia. Beautiful beaches, vibrant culture, and that laid-back atmosphere. Who wouldn't want to build a business there?
It sounds like the perfect breeding ground for innovation and creativity. But what about the challenges faced by Aussie startups? Are they any different from those faced by entrepreneurs in other parts of the world?
Well, one challenge that's often mentioned is the relatively small domestic market compared to, say, the US or China. This means Aussie startups often need to think globally right from the get-go, which can be daunting for those early-stage ventures.
It makes sense that scaling up in a smaller market can be tricky, especially for those with global ambitions. But it sounds like Aussie startups are finding ways to make it work.
They are. They're leveraging their agility, their innovative products and services, and their ability to connect with those international markets through digital platforms. And as the Australian startup ecosystem continues to mature, we can expect to see even more Aussie-born companies making a splash on the world stage.
It's an exciting time to be watching the Australian business landscape unfold. From established companies embracing innovation to those startups disrupting traditional industries, there's a real buzz in the air. But before we get too carried away, I think it's time to bring our deep dive to a close.
Yeah, I agree. We've covered a lot of ground today, from those fundamental principles of business opportunity to the unique factors driving Australian innovation and the challenges and rewards of going global.
We've explored the stories of iconic Aussie brands like Vegemite and Fingerscan, looked at the impact of disruptive technologies like self-fit hearing aids, and even uncovered that unexpected connection between Elon Musk and the Aussie approach to R&D.
We've talked about the rise of automation, the growth of that startup ecosystem, and how important it is to be adaptable in a world that's constantly changing.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, let's leave our listeners with a final thought to ponder. What's next for Aussie innovation? What new challenges and opportunities lie ahead?
That's a great question, and one I don't have a definitive answer to. But based on everything we've explored today, the future looks incredibly bright for those Australian businesses that embrace innovation, agility, and a global mindset.
And who knows, maybe that next big business idea is already brewing down under, just waiting for the right moment to take the world by storm.
That's right. Until next time, keep exploring, keep innovating, and remember, the only limit to what's possible is our own imagination.
Well said. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive, everyone.
Cheers.
It's amazing to think about all the Aussie innovations that have already made their mark on the world. And it makes you wonder, what's next? What Aussie product or service do you think has the potential to become the next big global hit?
Ooh, that's a good one. It might be something we haven't even heard of yet, tucked away in some lab or workshop, just waiting for its chance to shine.
Yeah.
Or maybe it's something that's already popular in Australia, but hasn't quite broken through on that international stage.
Yeah, it could be anything, really.
Yeah.
Maybe a sustainable solution to a global problem, or a uniquely Aussie take on a familiar product. Maybe it's something that uses Australia's natural resources in a new and innovative way, or a tech innovation that solves a common problem everyone faces.
The possibilities are pretty much endless. And it reminds me of something we talked about earlier, how important it is to recognize those everyday problems, those little inconveniences that might just spark the next big business idea.
Exactly. Just like those Aussie inventors who turned lawnmowers and, well, brewers' yeast into global icons. Sometimes innovation isn't about those huge groundbreaking discoveries. Sometimes it's just about looking at those everyday challenges with fresh eyes and asking, how can we do this better?
Absolutely. And that's what comes to this deep dive into Aussie innovation so fascinating. It's not just about celebrating their past successes. It's about understanding that mindset, that approach, that sheer determination to create, to improve, and to push the boundaries.
It's like this exploration has given us a toolkit, a toolkit for recognizing and grabbing those opportunities no matter where we are in the world.
It has. We've learned about understanding those market dynamics, anticipating those shifts, and being ready to adapt.
We've seen how powerful disruptive innovation can be, the importance of research and development, and the challenges and rewards that come with taking your business global.
Well, sure.
But I think most importantly, we've gained a deeper appreciation for the human element behind it all. The creativity, the resilience, that willingness to take risks, those are the qualities that drive innovation and ultimately shape the world around us.
Couldn't have said it better myself. And I think those qualities are alive and well in Australia. So, as we wrap up our deep dive, let's take a moment to appreciate those innovators, the entrepreneurs, the dreamers down under, who are always pushing the limits of what's possible.
To those who see challenges as opportunities and never stop asking, what if?
That's the spirit.
So keep those Aussie examples in mind, stay curious, and who knows, maybe you'll be the one to uncover that next game-changing innovation. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive, everyone.
It's been a pleasure. Until next time, keep exploring.